Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Piedra Designs. This week, we aren't going to have any wood turning. Not to worry. I'm not changing the main focus of the channel here. We're still primarily going to be wood turning channel. But this week, as you can see, I'm sitting in my wife's crafting area, and she is in serious need of a new crafting table. The previous table that she had down here was a dining room table, and we had another one in the dining room. When the kids moved out, took that table. We had to take the one out of the craft room here into the dining room. So now she's back to working off of a folding table, and that just isn't going to work for her. So we're going to build her a new crafting table island this week. The size of the island is going to come out being 4 foot by 8 foot, or just shy of that. I want to be able to use a full sheet of plywood as the top of the table, so that there's no seams in the top of that. Anyways, I'll give you a quick little look here at her crafting room, and then we'll get out to the shop and get to building on this thing. Okay, so I'll try and do this and keep the camera as steady as possible so we aren't making anyone sick. Anyway, this is her crafting area, and this is 1/4 of a great room that a previous owner had added onto this house. And this room itself measures almost 30 foot by 30 foot. And Tessa's crafting stuff is tucked away in one corner of this room. It also doubles as our office and as our bedroom. We took this as a bedroom when we first moved in so that the kids, all 4 of our kids, could each have their own bedroom. So anyways, that's what's going on with this room. Back this way, we've got our bedroom, and there's a closet over that way, and the office is kind of that way. So this area over here, where you can see all these cabinets here, those are cabinets that her grandfather and uncle had built in their cabinet shop down in Arkansas. And for whatever reason, a customer changed their mind, or the builder changed something after they had made the cabinets. These cabinets no longer fit. So being that they were built by her grandfather and her uncle, she couldn't bear to see them go to waste. So we brought them home and we're using them. Eventually, that entire wall I will rebuild, sized to fit what's going on with that wall. This room is very tall, but it's a lot of wasted space. The natural light is wonderful, but it's a lot of wasted space with that many windows. This cabinet along here is one I have already built and put in place. This section of that whole 8-foot cabinet is mine. You can see some of my wood turnings down in there. And that lower cabinet there in the corner with drawers, I have some of my stuff in there. Super glues, casting supplies, stuff like that. Otherwise, the rest of this area, and I'm not showing you everything, is her crafting stuff. And this is now the table she's currently working off of. And it is not sufficient. So we're going to build a crafting island table for her it's going to end up measuring 4 foot this way and then 8 foot long this way. So let's get out to the shop and get started on this thing. All right, so the biggest majority, probably 95% of this entire video was shot in time lapse, so there is no audio. And the few minutes that were shot in real time, I just went ahead and sped up. So we're going to try this voiceover thing as we're going along through here, and tell you a little bit about what I'm doing. This is pretty much going to be your only table saw shots here, these first few minutes. If you've seen one table saw montage, you've seen them all. So what I'm doing here is just getting the sheets of plywood ripped into the various size widths I'm going to need for the building of this table island, whatever you want to call it. I need widths to make the platform. I need widths to make the carcass, the boxes. And I need widths for the back band that will provide support to the top. Coming up here in just a little bit, there'll be a few scenes where I'm cutting the narrower stuff to length on the miter saw, but we won't have any shots of cutting the wider sections into the appropriate lengths. So what I'm doing here is using a story stick to lay out the boxes where dividers are going to go, and face frame on top of those dividers. And as I'm doing this, I use pieces of the actual material I'm going to use, so I get the correct measurements, because 3/4 inch plywood is not truly 3/4 inch. So if you base your measurements off of an actual 3/4 inch, you may end up cutting your pieces too short. Here's the miter saw montage that talked about a minute ago. This is pretty much going to be the only shots of the miter saw work you'll see. And now we're doing the layout to drill the holes for the adjustable shelf pins. When I worked in my wife's grandfather's cabinet shop, they actually had a line drill that had, I don't know, 10 or 12 drill bits all in a line, so you could make one measurement on your piece, and then with one pull of the lever you had all of your holes drilled, and that was much faster than what you see here of having to do each individual hole. Now we actually start to get to put back together all these little pieces of wood back into big pieces of wood. We took big pieces, cut them up into little pieces. Now we're going to put them back into big pieces. This is the first end cap of the island, and now we lost footage. I deleted the card without downloading the footage first. So what you missed there is building the face frame for those end caps and building the shelves, the adjustable shelves. Now we're just finishing up the shelves. And so all of that previous was times 2, because we need an end cap for each end of the island. Now we're going to start putting together the back side, the side opposite of the sitting area. This section is on each end of this section will be adjustable shelves also, and then in the middle will be drawers. Yay! Drilling more holes for adjustable shelves. This actually eats up a lot of time. Having to use a clamp there to get that plywood where I needed it to be. The joys of
using construction plywood for cabinets is a lot of times, well, and even in cabinet grade plywood, sometimes you have to deal with the plywood bowing on you. And that's what was going on with that piece. Now we've got to put a back on this piece because from the other side, the seating side, you would see all of that. And with on this piece itself, where the adjustable shelves are, you would see through to the seating side where the drawers are going to be. So we just put a back on it to keep everything nice and neat. Now you finally get to see some face frames going together. Again, this is another one of those things that takes a lot of time, having to drill those pocket holes individually with a drill. When I worked in the cabinet shop, they had a professional pocket hole machine that you could, in the same time in the shop, in the cabinet shop, that I could drill out every piece of that entire face frame. I can get one or maybe two pieces doing it by hand. So again, a lot of time eaten up. And to get the face frame, get the openings all equal, I just cut spacers all to the same length just until the pieces fit. And that way I'm not worried about measuring down to the 64th or whatever to get equal spacing. Just cut however many spacers you need until, with the pieces that you're trying to get inserted, between those pieces and the spacers, everything just fits exactly, and then all your spacing is even. And then you'll notice here that the end stiles on the box, I run all the way to the floor, and then I cut a 45 piece to go back in. And that was just something that my wife's grandfather did in his shop, and I've continued to do it. I like building my cabinets this way instead of having to notch those end pieces, the end panels of plywood out. You just run your end stiles to the floor. And then, like when you have an inside corner in cabinets in your kitchen or whatever, just one of the minor things, it makes it easier to clean out that corner because it's not back under your cabinet in the toe kick. So when you are sweeping out, you can sweep out to the 45 and then it just funnels everything out away from the cabinet. Now we're putting together the faces onto the adjustable shelves for this portion. Here we're starting the boxes for the drawers that are going to go on the seating side. There'll be a stack of drawers on each side of the seating area. And again, the issue of warped plywood is coming into play here. I had to get a clamp after this piece. So now we're getting into the part of cabinet making that was not my favorite part, which is doing the drawers. And building a face frame cabinet where your divider is inset into the middle of the face frame, you can't attach your drawer guides directly to the divider walls or the end walls of the box. So the way my wife's grandfather did it and the way I continue to do it is you rip some cleats and attach your drawer guides to those cleats, and then you cut a tail piece that's the same width as the opening of your drawer, and then you install that into your drawer opening. And one of the other benefits of doing it this way is, while yes, you try to make everything square, this makes up for if those dividers happen to be slightly out of square. There's room for those drawer guides to swing left or right, and when you push the drawer in, you can get everything lined up, and then you just shoot a nail from through that end piece into the back of the box. That was the piece you saw me putting into the back of the spots in here where there were going to be drawers. And then if you need to adjust it, you can just pry those over a little bit. Here we're into putting all of the boxes together into one piece. I was actually quite happy with this for a total of 5 boxes. When I checked square on that thing, I was within a 32nd of being square, corner to corner. So for putting 5 boxes together and only being that much out of square, I was pretty happy. Now we're actually making the drawers. Not doing any fancy dovetails or anything. The drawer tails are cut to size in between the drawer sides, and dado in a spot for the drawer bottom. Pretty simple. And this one I messed up and nailed the tail piece in upside down, so my dados didn't match. Had to tear it apart and put it back together. So yeah, while it was only 9 drawers for this crafting table, it seemed like it was forever building these 9 drawers. Did I mention a minute ago that this was not my favorite part of cabinet making? Attaching the drawer faces here, and I just went with plywood faces. I had done that on the previous section of cabinets that I showed you at the beginning, the 8-foot section up against the wall. Just decided that it would be cheaper and easier to just use plywood faces and plywood doors. I've still got to build the doors for that other 8-foot section. Well, I guess I'm not building doors, cutting out doors. finally ready to put the top on this thing and get it nailed down, and then we'll have to add some edge banding around it. I just ripped some lumber into 1.25 inches for the edge banding, rounded over the corners on it. And now that we're at the end here, I think in the outro that I shot, where I was giving the measurements on this thing, I think I forgot to mention how tall it was. This thing is 38 inches tall, and we built it that tall on purpose so that it would be a comfortable working height to stand up and work at. We are going to have to find a taller chair or stool for the seating area than the regular chairs, but we built it tall so that it would be comfortable to work at while standing up. All right, we have this thing done. I'll try to give you a little tour around it and keep the camera fairly steady. Try not to make anyone sick. The top of this came out measuring with the trim at 96.5 by 48.5, and I built it that way on purpose just so I could trim off the factory edges of the plywood. Here on the back side, we've got full extension guides on the drawers. These are bigger drawers. They're about 21-inch drawers width. So I know my wife will probably cram a lot of stuff in there. We put full extension heavy-duty guides on those. On either side of those drawers, we've got adjustable shelves. On both ends of this thing, there are adjustable shelves. And then on the seating side, we've got drawers on both sides. These are a little bit smaller drawers. They're only 15 inches. So we just put the regular cheap drawer guides on that. Obviously, it still needs finished out. We're going to stain the top and the drawer faces, and the entire rest of that unit will be white. So there it is. A 4x8 crafting table island. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, share it around on your social media. Leave me a comment. I respond to everything. From Piedra Designs, thanks for watching.